Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. And in this video, I just wanted to talk about, there's been, a pretty large amount of sort of, foreigners coming to the Philippines. Like, now the country's been open for almost, well, actually over a year now. Okay, because it was February 10th, I believe, last year when it opened. Um, and that was like you had to be vaxxed and boosted, right? At least one booster, in order to bypass any kind of quarantine or anything else, And I know a lot of guys are kind of waiting for it to get easier, but I would say like in the last 6 months, there's probably been a pretty large influx of foreigners here, to the Philippines. And I think many of them are going to places like Dumaguete and Cebu and maybe a little bit Bohol. I think Manila always has a certain amount of sort of foreigners coming and going, and sometimes even younger foreigners will come here because of the infrastructure and stuff like that. They're still working, they're digital nomads or whatever, right? So they're able to just have better internet here and stuff like that, right? So there's always kind of there's a lot of people in Manila, you know what I mean? So there's like 12 million people, right? At least. And I know that the number of expats, I think, is the largest in Manila because, well, there's 12 million people. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have more foreigners, when you have a huge number of population like that, you're going to have more foreigners than any other city in the Philippines. But there's other areas that have like 100,000, like Dumaguete's only got 100,000 people. And percentage wise, there's a lot of foreigners there, percentage wise, right? Like there's got to be like 10,000. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you include like Darwin and Valencia and Dumaguete, it's got to be at least, so you're talking like 10% of the population, especially now. I think it might have been down only maybe 5% or something like that, maybe during the pandemic. But I mean, there's been a huge increase in, guys going there, within the last 6 months. And, just, I just wanted to tell people, like, just be careful, man. Like, it's not, there's no utopia in this world. You know what I mean? It's not like some paradise that everything's perfect and there's no place like that in the world. You know what I mean? Like, so just come here and don't come here with blinders on. Come here and be careful, especially if you're planning on driving or riding a motorcycle, especially. It's different here, man. People drive different here, and it works for them. You know what I mean? Like, within this country, the way things, whether it's Manila or really any other city in the Philippines, small city or whatever, it works for them. I mean, like they percentage wise, they have pretty low amount of like serious accidents, probably compared to the West, or especially like the U.S. And they don't really have like road rage and stuff like that here. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that I kind of admire about the driving here. It sometimes even in Manila it looks like organized chaos, but it works. I mean, people know how to drive. Here, you know what I mean? Like they're defensive driving all the time. You know what I mean? You have to be looking at the other guy, anticipating and stuff like that, right? But if you, like I said before in a previous video, you can't in this country drive the way you did in the U.S. and vice versa, right? Like if somebody drove in the Philippines for most of their life and they're 40, 50 years old, let's say, right? And then they go to U.S. and they think, well, I'm going to drive like I did in the Philippines for the last 20 years, the way I drove in the Philippines. I'm going to carry that over into the U.S. Well, that's not going to work either, right? But it works within their own, in the Philippines, it works. So just be careful, especially on a bike. Because I know that there's been probably a lot more accidents now with all the foreigners, the influx of foreigners coming here. Um, so I just want guys to be cognizant of that. You can't like zone out. You know what I mean? Like when you're, I know you like to sort of Sometimes in the U.S., you'd be like, oh, I just want to go for a drive to relax. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I'm just going to, you get on the expressway, there's no traffic. I'm just going to go 70 miles an hour and just kind of, zone out, listen to the radio, relax with my thoughts, whatever, right? You can't do that here. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen here, man. I don't care where you are. Because as soon as you zone out, something something could happen. You know what I mean? A dog runs out in front of you. I don't care if you're in a provincial area or in an urban area. The minute you zone out and don't pay attention, that's when something's going to come in front of you. It could be a person, could be a trike, could be an animal, could be whatever. So you really have to be a very good defensive driver here, and you have to pay attention. You know, you're probably not going to have that sort of driving, for luxury, or for, oh yeah, I'm just gonna relax and and all that. That's not the kind of driving that you're probably going to be able to do here. It's going to be transportation from point A to point B. And you know what? If you don't have to, just use the trikes and stuff. Like in Dumaguete, they got trikes. They're pretty cheap. Most rides, I think, are probably still 50 pesos or whatever, as long as it's not over like 20 minutes or 25-minute drive or whatever, But don't be surprised if those numbers start going up, those prices, because, you got to understand something. During the pandemic in the Philippines, people didn't have the kind of stimulus packages that people had in the United States. Nothing like it, nothing remotely like it, man. I mean, they were getting these little food packages, and they were like once or twice a month, and they were just like sardines and rice. I mean, it really wasn't a lot. And it certainly wasn't much. They were giving out money occasionally. They would give out money, but you had to wait in line for like 10 hours, And there were people falling out, like literally in line, like older people, because they're outside in the heat, waiting in line for, 4,000 pesos or whatever, Maybe 5,000, And it wasn't like weekly or anything, It was just sort of like very sporadic, So, I mean, people here are like, they're chomping at the bit, you know what I mean? Like, and when foreigners come here, and whenever you go to a place where there is a lot of other foreigners, yeah, there's going to be a sort of an incidence where, yeah, the prices might start to go up a little bit, right? Because now they can do it. You can price things and get away with it because now you've got all these extra foreigners in the area or whatever, right? So that's going to be sort of a natural progression, right? That's going to happen, So just keep that in mind, keep that kind of thing in mind. And there's going to be probably more scams or scammy type stuff, you know what I mean? Also be aware of that, So, that's mostly what I wanted to talk about. I think it is pretty good, though, and shout out to the old dog, new tricks, Paul. He did a video that somebody from the embassy had visited him and given him a lot of information. I mean, I used to talk for like over 2 hours, and then Paul went and did this like 30-minute video about a lot of the services that they do have for expats in need, basically, right? Like if you're in some kind of bad situation, there is some things that you can utilize here in the Philippines, from the embassy. So, and that tells me that the current administration in this country, they're interested in promoting tourism and even foreign investment in this country. So there could be some laws that change, that were kind of restrictive, as far as for foreign investment. So that's a good thing, and it's good for the people here too. I mean, can promote more the economy, improve the economy and stuff like that, So, that's a good thing, But what I'm just saying is, like when you're in you're in an area with a lot of other foreigners, just try to, pay attention, okay, to your surroundings, situational awareness, right? And pay attention to how much things cost too, because, You know what I mean? Don't kind of let yourself get taken advantage of so much. You know, try and pay attention, especially if you're coming here to live. You need to pay attention to that stuff. You know, you need to know how much things are. Yeah, I understand if you're coming here for 3 weeks. You know, maybe you'll be like, ah, whatever. You know what I mean? I got enough money. You know, I got a couple grand, 2, 3 grand for 3 weeks or whatever. You know, and you don't mind pissing away some money. You know, but if you're coming here to live, you know, it's kind of a different ballgame. You need to pay attention. You know, especially you're here on a budget or whatever, right? Coming here on a budget, and so be cognizant of all that stuff. You know, so but that's about it, guys. I just wanted to. I just noticed that there seems to be a lot more foreigners, you know, coming in. So just things to be aware of, you know. And that's about it, guys. That's all I wanted to say about this. I think I'm gonna do one. My next video might be about home prices and stuff. I'm not gonna be pinpoint accurate because there's so many different. There's price ranges that are so different in the Philippines depending on where you're at. You know what I mean? Whether it's BGC, Makati, or something like that. Of course, the prices are going to be a lot higher than provincial areas, anywhere else in the country, or even smaller cities. But I'm just going to give kind of a general idea, and I'll give some information as to the websites too. You know, like the ones that you could just go to find out this stuff. Like, how much is this, or what are they asking at least? You know, and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, that's about it. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day.